dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and today I have another book talk video to share with you guys, and I'm so excited about it because it feels like it has been quite a while since I've just sat and done a regular book talk because of course we had Vlogmas. And I'm just so happy to be sitting and talking and getting back to regular routine with you guys. So today we are going to be talking about The Au Pair by Rous. I hope I'm saying that last name right. Anyway, this book was lent to me by a friend, my friend Krista. She lent me this book. She really enjoyed it and she wanted me to read it. And I was more than happy to. So this book is, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. It's a bit of a mystery. I was gonna say a bit of a mystery, a bit of a thriller, but no, it's not really a thriller. It's a bit of a mystery, a bit of a dysfunctional family story, which I love. I love reading dysfunctional family stories. I saw someone describe that kind of genre as suburban dysfunction, and I thought that was a good name for it. They were using that term to describe the Netflix movie Marriage Story, which I loved and did a glowing review on. And they weren't speaking of suburban dysfunction fondly when they were using that term, but I love it. What can I tell you? So anyway, The Au Pair. This book goes back and forth in time, from chapter to chapter, from two different points of view, from two women that are part of the same story. So we start off in 2017 with a girl named Seraphine. I'm gonna say Seraphine because when I was reading it, that's how I pronounced it in my head, but I've actually never heard this name said out loud. But so she's in 2017. We know that her dad has recently passed away. Her mom died on the day she was born. And her brother, they're twins. They also have an older brother, Edwin. But Seraphine and Danny, they're twins, and their mom died on the day they were born. She committed suicide, which really took everyone by surprise. So her dad has recently passed away, and she's at one of their family homes. There's two family homes that their grandmother kind of owns, but that they all spend time at. One is in the city of London, and that's called Winterbourne. And then there's one in the suburbs, like kind of in the country on the beach. I don't know where exactly, and that one's called Summerbourne, and that was kind of their summer home. And the twins were born there in July, so the grandmother kind of got a kick out of that. They were Summerbourne at Summerbourne. They're a wealthy family, and so like I said, her dad has recently passed away, and now she's at Summerbourne, which was where she was living when he died, and where he passed away from an accident. He fell off a ladder, and she's going through some of his things, and she finds some photos that cause her a bit of confusion. There's one of the day she was born. Her mom's in the picture, I think. But she's only holding one baby, and that's really causing her a bit of confusion because as the story goes on, we learn that there's this weird kind of old wives' tale surrounding the family and the home of Summerbourne. And the townspeople in this small town have all kind of spread the story like fire over the years throughout the town on how the home is cursed, the family's cursed, and twins are doomed in this family. Because Seraphine's mother was one of a twin, but the one twin died in utero. And then, so Seraphine's mother, Ruth, she was one twin who died in utero. Then she first had a first set of twins, which is Seraphine's older brother Edwin, and then his brother Theo, who passed away. So there's a lot of weird things happening with twins, and then this rumor starts going around the city or around the town, it's a very small town, that something weird happened on the day the twins were born, and that Ruth gave her life to save her twins, and that the twins that grew up in the house are the twins that were born there, that she made a deal with the witch, and the witch took the original twins and put these new sprite twins, like it's a whole ordeal that could only happen Like, this whole rumor mill business is something that could only happen in a very, very small town that's steeped in folklore and very superstitious and very just, you know, the kind of town I'm talking about. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing that she's kind of known about her whole life. And now she sees this picture of just one baby and it sets off this whole chain reaction of her trying to figure out what the heck happened. Where's the other baby? What's going on in this picture? So she finds out that at the time, the au pair who was living at Summerbourne and caring for her older brother Edwin was a woman named Laura. And so we move back and forth between 2017 with Seraphine and 1991/92 with Laura when she's living at Summerbourne and caring for Edwin, and then subsequently Ruth ends up pregnant again, and it's a whole thing. So we're waiting to find out what happened at the house. Now, if I were to go into everything that happens in this book, I would have you so confused by the time this video ended that you wouldn't know if you were coming or going. Because a lot happens, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of names that I would be throwing at you that there's no way you would keep straight in your mind as I'm just telling you about it. It's the kind of thing that you need to read in order to be able to kind of keep everything straight in your mind. So keep that in mind. So what I think I'm going to try to do is just keep this to a more simpler review, kind of give you a bit more info. I can give you the spoilers at the end with a warning, of course, before I do, for that anyone who wants that conclusion to the story can have it. So, like I said, it's a mystery as we're waiting to find out what's going on. We know that something's not right. I don't even know what to tell you and what not to tell you in this, because we would be here for 2 hours, I'm sure. Anyway, what happens next, kind of from Seraphine's point of view, is the more she's digging, the more people are really getting their backs up about the fact that she is digging into this. She tries to approach Laura, the au pair, and Laura's kind of like, don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't come here again. When she mentions it to her grandmother, who is still alive, her grandmother Vera, she mentions Laura and the whole thing, and her grandmother's like, don't talk to me about it, don't ask me about it, don't look at me, don't ever bring it up again. So at this point she's like, okay, that's 2 for 2 now that are being very weird about it. Anyway, there's a third person that she decides to look up because she thinks that she could hopefully get some info from him, because he was a very close family friend back in the day. His name is Alex. She goes to him and he has an even bigger reaction. He's like, don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't ask me about it. And he also kind of says to her, like, I don't even know how you exist, you're impossible. Like, it's not possible for you to be here. When she explains that she's Ruth and Dominic's daughter. And then we learn that he has a daughter. And you guys, this book's so hard to talk about. There's just so many layers and levels to this mystery that you need to read it for yourself. In the end, as time goes by and the layers are being peeled back, Seraphine begins to doubt whether she is even a member of this family, because she starts to think, okay, Alex has a daughter, so maybe that was the daughter of the twin set, and then Danny and her sisters, and I'm just out of place. Where do I come from? What has happened? So right off the bat, okay, so I'm going to give you a bit of a spoilers now, just kind of my theories that I was building as I was reading. So if you don't want any spoilers now, definitely click away. It's an interesting read. It's a bit dramatic and kind of soap opera-y in as it goes along. It was a little soap opera-esque, just because of all the people and all the things that happen and all the stuff. There's just so much stuff, and how it all gets laid out. So if you don't like that kind of soap opera feel, you might not like this, but if you do, if you don't mind a good wacky storyline with all kinds of people involved, then definitely read it. I don't regret reading it. I enjoyed it. It's not my fave, you know, I wouldn't count it among a favorite, but it was an entertaining read. It kept me turning those pages, which, when it all comes down to it, that's honestly the most important thing, you know, in terms of a book like that, you know, a commercial fiction story that keeps you engaged, it keeps you turning the page, and that definitely did that. Up until the very last moment, I kept waiting to see how it was all going to resolve itself. And it does in time, but it's wild. So, okay, now are the spoilers. So right off the bat, as soon as the story started going, I was like, okay, the au pair, Laura, somehow she gets pregnant as well, and that did happen. So the family friend, Alex, he's the one that impregnates the mom, Ruth. And Ruth ends up having one baby, and that one baby is Seraphine. So she was what she worried she wasn't, and that is her mother's daughter. She was her mother's true daughter. And her father wasn't who she thought was her father. The family friend, Alex, was. And then at the same time, the au pair gets pregnant, Laura, but from Ruth's husband, Dominic, so the children's father. And she's the one that ends up having twins. And the more I talk about this, the crazier it sounds. So Alex, the family friend, he gets wind that he's the father of the baby. And he comes to take the baby. He's like, no, I'm taking that baby. So he takes one of Laura's twins, the girl. That's who he took to raise as his own. Even though that was Laura and Dominic's daughter. And then Laura gives Ruth and Dominic Danny to raise as Seraphine's twin brother. Are you keeping up? Can you see why I didn't want to do a full step-by-step review of this book? Because it's too much. Then, as the kind of icing on the cake, we find out that probably Vera, the grandmother, pushed her daughter off the cliff. So Ruth, their mom, probably, we don't ever get a for sure conclusion on this, but she's arrested and charged for having pushed her daughter off the cliff. Why? I don't know. Rather than Ruth having committed suicide. So she gets arrested at the end. And then it's just a huge ordeal. One thing that really bothered me too, I'm just going to tell you this bit. So the twin brother that Seraphine thought she had, Danny, as we now know, that's one of Laura's twins, not one of Ruth's. So her and, like, Seraphine and Danny aren't actually related because of the way it all worked out. So he starts having this existential crisis. He's like, we're not even really siblings. But she's like, yeah, we are. We were raised as siblings. We're siblings. Because they're siblings. You know, if you adopt a child into your family, that's your other kid's sibling. And he's really going through it. And they keep describing, the author, she keeps describing when all the when all the conflict is happening. She keeps describing that Danny is growling. Like, oh, a growl erupted from his throat. He lets out a low growl. A growl? Multiple growls? I've never had a conversation or a discussion or a disagreement or a conflict with anyone when they're growling. Like, what does that mean? And it just kept coming up so many times. Every time it did, I was like, no, he's not growling. Maybe he's growling. I don't know. I don't know how other people talk. So, there you go, you guys. I ended up kind of dragging this a bit more than I thought I was going to. But I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it. It was a fun read. I enjoyed it while I was reading it. It's just kind of looking back now. It all seems very, very over the top and very just It's a lot. It's a bit much. It's a bit much for my taste. We'll just leave it at that, I guess. And yeah, we'll just leave it there. Anyway, you guys, if you've read The Au Pair, let me know what you thought of it. And if you haven't, and you like a good mystery with, you know, a bit of family drama that's a little soap opera-esque, then I think you'd really enjoy it. So definitely check it out if that sounds like it would be up your alley. And thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I'm so glad to be back to the regular book talks. I've got some really good ones coming up in the next few weeks. Plus, at some point next week, hopefully I'm going to be tackling my favorite books of 2019. I read a lot of good ones. That seems like a daunting task, but we're going to do it. We're going to get in there and do it. Anyway, I hope you're having a great weekend, and I will see you Monday with a vlog. Bye, guys.